Welcome to the Enveos podcast, where we share actionable insights on web design, SEO, paid advertising, and AI automation. Each episode is focused on practical strategies you can apply immediately to build smarter systems, attract better traffic, and scale your business with confidence. And welcome back to the deep dive. I have to say, the stack of sources you sent over this week is just incredible.
It's quite a mix, isn't it?
It really is. It feels like a full spectrum analysis. We're going from, the super granular details of copywriting and technical SEO all the way up to the strategic future of autonomous business models.
Well, that's because it perfectly reflects what the market demands right now.
The past and the bleeding edge all at once.
Exactly. And that's really our mission for this deep dive.
Right.
First, we have to understand how the B2B buying journey has been just fundamentally reshaped by these massive external shocks.
You mean AI in the economy?
AI integration and economic uncertainty, yeah.
And then from there, we need to pull out the exact technical strategies that marketers need to be deploying right now to build scalable, autonomous systems, a powerful mission. So we've broken this down into 3 critical areas. First up, we're tackling this shocking compression of the B2B buyer timeline.
Why they're engaging so much sooner.
Right. Then second, we'll get into the actionable frameworks, how you structure content, how you build trust.
And finally, we get to the really fun part.
The strategic frontier, autonomous business models, ABMs, and this idea of agentic AI.
Okay, let's jump right into segment 1, the B2B buying shockwave. For years, the wisdom was that the buying process was long, it was slow, and buyers did most of it on their own, right?
Right, they'd only contact you at the very end.
But now, the sources are showing this cycle is compressing. And this is the part I find so weird. Buyers are actually contacting sellers sooner.
It's a huge psychological shift, and the data is really clear that this isn't just a small fluctuation.
So what are the numbers?
The average buying cycle dropped from 11.3 months down to 10.1 months.
Okay, so that's over a month shorter? Over 4 weeks, yeah. But the really big deal is a point of first contact, the POFC. That shifted from 69% of the way through the journey all the way down to 61%.
What does that mean in, real time?
It means buyers are picking up the phone or sending that email roughly 6 to 7 weeks earlier than they were before.
6 to 7 weeks. Okay, so if they're calling us earlier, you think the decision is still up in the air, that they're still shopping.
That's the common misconception. But the core truth of B2B influence, it hasn't changed a bit. The sources show the winning vendor. They're still on the day 1 shortlist 95% of the time.
95%, so that part's the same.
It is. And here's the kicker. 4 out of 5 deals, so a huge 80%, are still won by the pre-contact favorite. The decision is basically already made.
So they're contacting you sooner just to validate a decision they've already made internally.
Exactly.
But if the decision is already set in stone, why not just keep researching privately? What are these external shocks that are forcing their hand?
Well, the first big one is the complexity of AI integration. The data shows 58% of buyers engage earlier, specifically because they had to evaluate how vendors were implementing AI inside their solutions.
So it's not about if you use AI, it's about the nitty-gritty.
It's about the details. Pricing models for AI features, security protocols, implementation. You just can't get those answers from a white paper. You need a human conversation.
That completely flips the script. The integration of AI is creating so many new questions that it's actually accelerating the need for human contact.
Precisely. And the second shock is, well, it's just raw economic uncertainty. 49% of buyers said the economy shortened their cycles because they just needed to move faster.
And I saw that other stat, too, the one about budgets.
Oh, yeah, 62% admitted they engaged sellers earlier just to commit the funds and secure budget before their own finance teams could pull it back. It was a race against their own company's budget cuts.
Okay, so we know 94% of buyers are using large language models for research, summarizing things, comparing features. But here's what I don't get. If the LLMs are so good, why are buyers still having 16 interactions per person with the winning vendor?
Because the LLM reduces the friction of research, but it does not reduce the friction of risk.
Okay.
You have to remember the stakes here. The median annual value of these deals was between $200,000 and $300,000.
A huge investment.
A massive investment. And when you're dealing with that level of risk, no LLM in the world can replace human validation and, due diligence. The LLM gets them to the shortlist faster, but those 16 interactions, That's them needing to see the whites of your eyes before they sign that check.
That data just makes our priorities so clear. You have to have pristine, trustworthy content ready before that first call, because that's where the real decision is happening.
So it's all pre-contact.
So let's pivot from the why to the how. The sources were pretty dismissive of rigid templates, but really championed frameworks.
Yeah, and that distinction is so vital. Templates kill creativity. They make you sound like everyone else. Frameworks just structure your argument in a psychologically compelling way.
So instead of just listing off a bunch of acronyms, which two frameworks do you think really showed the difference in approach?
Let's look at Pastor and Prune. They're great examples of different ways to sequence your content.
Okay, Pastor.
Pastor is all about empathy. You start with the problem, then you amplify the emotional cost of that problem. Only then, once they feel the pain, do you introduce your solution.
And then you back it up.
You back it up with a testimonial, you make the offer, and you call for a response. It's deeply, deeply problem-centric.
And how is Prune different? It sounds more aggressive.
It's much more assertive and proof-driven, yeah?
Yeah.
You start with a bold point, your big claim. Then you immediately give the reason it's true. Then you unveil the proof, the data, the case studies.
We love the N in this one.
The end is fascinating. You have to nail the concept down with a powerful analogy, something that makes it unforgettable. And then the exit is your call to action.
So one is for emotional connection, the other for decisiveness.
Exactly. Having both lets you adapt to where the buyer is in their journey.
This philosophy, it connects perfectly to that sauce case study in the sources, the one where they burned through $15,000 in ads and got nothing.
Because they skipped the most important step.
Before you can sell, you have to build trust. How did they actually put that into practice?
They had this fundamental mental pivot. They stopped asking what keywords should we rank for, which is a very company-focused question.
Right.
And they started asking, what keeps our ideal customer awake at 3 a.m.? That's the real optimization target.
Because customers search for symptoms, they don't search for solutions.
They never do. They're not typing workflow automation software. They're typing, why does my team miss 40% of project deadlines?
Or how do I stop spending half my day making invoices?
Exactly. And that shift in empathy drove their whole 3-tier content pyramid.
Walk us through that pyramid. Sounds really effective.
The base of the pyramid, where they spent 60% of their effort, was Tier 1. Problem awareness content, guides, checklists, pure value, and critically, it was written with 0 product mentions.
0. That takes discipline.
It does, but they were building authority first. So by the time the audience got to Tier 2 and finally Tier 3, which was product-specific, they had earned the right to make a pitch.
And the payoff was worth it.
Huge. That Tier 3 content, the actual demo request pages, saw a 34% demo request rate. It's proof that authority pays off exponentially right at the point of conversion.
That content strategy is brilliant, but it's all for nothing if your website is, built on a shaky foundation. The sources make it so clear that technical excellence is that unsexy work that just multiplies your conversions.
You absolutely cannot build an autonomous, scalable system on a foundation of technical debt. It's impossible. And that case study is the perfect example.
They inherited a complete disaster,
A
right?
total disaster. Huge images that weren't optimized, bloated JavaScript, and they were running on, I think it was like $15 a month shared hosting.
Which is just a guarantee for slow load times.
It guarantees a poor time to first byte. Yeah. So they did a complete overhaul. They put in a content delivery network, a CDN, migrated to real hosting, and just got ruthless on front-end speed.
They converted images to WebP and removed 1.2 megabytes of unused JavaScript. Why is that one part, the JavaScript, so important? It sounds like such a small detail.
Because unused JavaScript is a major rendering blocker. The browser has to download it, it has to parse it, it has to execute all that code before it can even start showing the user the page.
So removing it just makes everything feel faster.
It drastically improves perceived performance, which is exactly what Google measures with Core Web Vitals.
So what was the actual business payoff for all that hard work, for getting those green core Web Vitals scores?
The results were, they were immediate and just astounding. Within 30 days, their mobile bounce rate dropped 40%.
40%, wow.
It went from 68 down to 41%, but even more staggering, their mobile form completion rate went up 467%.
467, that's not a typo.
Not a typo. It went from a dismal 3% up to 17%. And the key insight they found was that for every 1 second improvement in load time, their conversion rate increased by about 7%.
It really shows how you can't fix a $15 hosting problem with $15,000 of ads.
You never can.
And that speed, that clean user experience, that's what allows your trust strategy to actually work. Which brings us to EEAT.
Expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And that second E's for experience is so critical now.
How did they build that in?
They proved they had hands-on experience, not just academic knowledge. They linked the founders' 15 years in the industry to all their big content pieces. They got 17 editorial features on other authority sites, published transparent pricing. They just proved they were reliable and had actually lived the problem.
And before we move on, we have to touch on their distribution. The social media part was, it was more than just branding.
Oh, it was a tactical revenue-generating machine. They know that in B2B, people trust people, not logos. So they focused on LinkedIn, using the founder's personal profile.
Which got way more engagement.
8 times more engagement than the company page. And over 12 months, that personal profile influenced $2.4 million in pipeline.
That is incredible. And Reddit, too.
Yeah, Reddit traffic was lower in volume, but it converted at the highest rate of any channel, 12%, because you have to be so authentic to succeed there.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. You need this pristine technical foundation, this hyper-effective content strategy, just to win in today's market.
It's a cost of entry now.
Now let's look forward. Because that foundation is the prerequisite for the strategic frontier, agentic AI and these autonomous business models. First, what is agentic AI? How is it different from what we think of as AI right now?
We have to draw a really clear line between it and generative AI. Generative AI, like most chatbots, it generates outputs, text, code, images. You give it a prompt, it gives you a thing back.
Right.
Agent AI is different because it has autonomy. It doesn't just generate, it generates, it reasons, and then it executes actions in the world.
So it takes initiative.
It takes initiative. It manages complex, multi-step workflows, and it adapts based on feedback to achieve a goal with minimal human help. It's the reasoning layer plus the action layer.
So instead of a human asking an AI to draft a sales email,
the agent is managing the entire sales cycle on its own. It might analyze market data, identify a pricing mismatch, autonomously go change the pricing table on your website, draft and send a marketing email about it, and then monitor the conversion rates, all in minutes.
And when you build that capability into the core of a company, that's the autonomous business model, the ABM.
That's the ABM. It's a business model where these agentic systems are the primary drivers of value creation, delivery, and capture. The source material shows a really clear progression to get there.
From human-driven to
AI augmented, where AI helps decisions, then to a human-AI hybrid with shared agency, and finally the ABM, which is really defined by AI-driven governance.
This feels like it shifts the entire competitive landscape. If the business is running itself at machine speed, what is the new competitive advantage?
It's a great question. The advantage moves away from traditional, slow, manual strategy formulation, and it moves toward algorithm design and training. We're entering a new regime called synthetic competition.
Like algorithmic stock trading, but for everything.
Exactly. For pricing, for inventory, for customer acquisition. You're not competing against a human-led company anymore. You're competing against an AI-run model that can spot an opportunity and execute on it 10,000 times faster than you can.
So the moat around your business isn't your unique product anymore. It's the intelligence of your AI.
Precisely. And success will rely on 2 new modes. The first is compounded ABM intelligence, basically.
Yeah.
The data and the learning loops that make your agent continuously smarter than the competitions.
And the second?
Ecosystem control.
Yeah.
Owning the infrastructure, the data streams, the APIs, the platforms that these agents rely on. If you own the pipes, your agents will always have the advantage. The human role shifts from operator to system designer.
So what does this all mean for you as you're listening and thinking about your own strategy? For us, the key takeaway is that you have to do 2 things at once. You have to execute flawlessly today.
Which means pristine technical foundations, fast websites, and those hyper-specific content frameworks that build immediate trust.
And at the same time, you have to see all that foundational work as the prerequisite for what's coming next.
Exactly. Your core web vitals, your EEAT, that symptom-based content, that's what generates the clean, high-fidelity data that these advanced agentic AI systems will need to function. You can't automate a slow, untrustworthy system.
I think the most profound implication here is really about leadership, about governance. If these firms are going to increasingly run themselves through self-learning algorithms, our role as humans completely changes.
We go from being the executioners to being the system architects. And that raises a really important question for every single person listening. The rise of agentic AI means strategy isn't a plan you write down anymore. It's a continuous learning system that's shaped by algorithmic execution. So if firms increasingly run themselves, the final question for leaders is this: how do we design and lead organizations that operate faster and learn better than we do while ensuring human judgment and governance remain the final authority?
That is the ultimate challenge for the next decade. Thank you for diving so deep into this with us. We really encourage you to apply those frameworks and, honestly, run that technical audit right away. You need a fast, trustworthy foundation before you can even think about building an autonomous future. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.